Artists in Depth podcast with Poetry Live, aka Sharika Jackson. She's got an upcoming show, feature tonight. It is a show. It's always a show at the Proletariat. It's a lot of fun. Here in Galveston tonight for our Coast of Soul open mic poetry night. I'm also joined by Amelie Lopez. She kind of MCs the whole thing and keeps it alive.
It gets real awkward. That's my job.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Awkward is fun sometimes.
I'm so awkward hosting. You haven't seen me. I'm like, hey, I don't know what I'm going to say.
But it's coming out. It's coming out.
Yeah, it comes out just like that.
So I guess I wanted to start out with just asking you how did you get started writing poetry?
Well, I've been writing forever. Like, I can't remember really not writing, but the first time I actually performed work in front of somebody, it wasn't an original piece, but my 7th grade math teacher, he, out of nowhere, literally out of nowhere, I don't even think he knew I wrote poems. I was like, hey, I want you to read this for the Black History Month program. I'm like, cool. And it was a poem called Be Black. And I thought it was so repetitive and so weird. And so all of those things, like, seriously, I thought it was just like, wow, but okay, I got you though. Because he picked me, you feel me? So, and I did that, and that opened up like something on the inside that was like, okay, this is something that you like a lot. It made me feel really good once I was done doing it. So I was like, yeah, let me just keep doing this. And then fell off the scene for a little while. You know, we make a lot of babies. I got 6 of them. So I had to,
It happens.
do life or whatever. And then I came to Houston and I wrote a poem, and then I read the poem. I was like, babe, listen to this poem. And so he listened to the poem. And I was like, I got to do something. Like, and I Googled open mic nights, and I wound up at One Poetry. And she was there, and she heard me, and then she's like, "You're coming to my place. You are." You're just like that. Like, okay, yes, let's go.
It's actually a wonderful Emily impression.
Yeah.
I get really excited about people, especially people who don't realize, or maybe haven't necessarily been told how good they are.
That honestly,
whatever the timing, you know.
Yeah, that honestly was a very pivotal moment. Like, because at that moment, it made me really. Her support, like, confirmed everything. It was no longer like, maybe not. It was like, when she addressed me like that, it was like, oh yeah, bitch, you gotta. Can I curse?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, you gotta do that.
Please
you
do.
know what I mean? So it's pretty amazing. She's an amazing person.
I'm so glad you were so responsive. I've had that feeling. I've been in the bathroom, like, after hosting or something, and then I read, and people are like, oh my God, let me talk to you. And I'm just like, sweating and feel sick. You know, you feel sick after you do it. You know, you go up there and you got to be confident, but I'm never not shaking when I'm done.
I'm forever that.
Yeah. It's
forever
a thing,
that.
right? Yeah, it never goes away.
And it's never
it's a good feeling.
It's never like now. But then, like, when stuff start happening, like, people start going up for their part, and then you know it's getting closer to your part. That's when it just be like, boom, yep, thought. But I'm here, and I'm like, what? But it still works out. And then the best part about it is you nervous as shit, but then when you get off the stage, everybody like, you the shit. And you're like, really? Because I was nervous as shit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because it's like a scary experience, but you get off.
It's such a big family. There's a lot of love.
Yeah.
Well, I do think it's really cool that you were into it, and then you kind of, stop for a while just to kind of, sometimes you got to live life and you got to do that for a little bit, but I think it's also good to put it down and come back to it, and you come back to it so much stronger.
And necessary.
Breaks are necessary, actually.
Not only the breaks, but you getting back to it is necessary.
Absolutely.
The experience in between, having babies, going through relationships,
you learn
being a mother.
Like
I write so much
that
about being a mother. That all
prepares you for this. Like, that's the whole point in getting there. Because
you don't want to turn the break into a distraction. That's one of my coaches used to say all the time.
Oh, check you out.
Snaps
for the
You on the open mic tonight?
No. I'm going to bartending.
He works it a lot of the time.
Bar backing technically, but sometimes.
So we'll be hanging out in a little bit too.
His mom, first of all, I mean, I gotta use my platform for this, but his mom drove from Lake Charles. My mother-in-law, my father-in-law drove from Lake Charles, Louisiana, to come to this tonight. That's what I need people to understand.
Love.
It's that important for us.
My family does not care about poetry.
Absolutely.
Then I got a whole clique of people here like, well, I'm riding.
That's so great. I know when you pulled up, because we thought it'd just maybe be us and your husband, and you had it. I was like, this is great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Fill the couch.
This is an entourage.
No, and it makes people feel good to have their backup.
Support. Keisha been here since day one. First, Keisha didn't even know if I could spit poetry. Keisha didn't know if I was going to get on stage and be like, roses are red, violets are blue, or if I was going to
Yeah,
do what I did.
yeah.
And she still was like, yes, got a shirt and everything. I had never even performed. Poetry Live, yeah. And I'm like, okay. Since day one. And I'm like, okay, I see you.
You're channeling all of that.
Yes.
All the time,
feeding off all of it. I'm sorry, I keep
you gotta
talking
eat.
a lot.
No, it's awesome. Please let it go out. That's why that's another thing about the show is that I just like to. I love when the artists get in the zone and they just start talking about what they do and their craft, and it's just everything about it is amazing. Just about the whole process.
Straight
I do want to, since we have a little bit of limited time, I do wanted to see if you wanted to maybe do the tear gas piece that I heard before you came in. Just for listeners, listen. You can find this video on YouTube on her YouTube, or not YouTube. Is that Facebook?
Yes,
That's what it's
at
Facebook.
Poetry Live.
At Poetry Lived on Facebook, and I just listened to it before I came in, and it was amazing.
We get worked up.
Yeah, it's super cool.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm old school. I still got Facebook. So before I actually go into it, very short little.
Absolutely, please do.
About the inspiration behind it. Well, I saw it and I heard of it and I saw what happened. I saw the pictures, the videos, the tweets, everything pertaining to the situation at the border. Mm. And I cannot understand. Like I just like with everything going on. Honestly, I just cannot understand. So the way that I translate all that into my mind for me to understand is to write poetry about it. And often I'm going to find a comparison to something that is traumatizing as well. And in this case, the tear gas formula is in comparison to the bondage that we faced at a certain period of time. And I collaborated the two and made the piece. Mm. That is basically the spiel. Okay. All so, chemical formula. So I wasn't ready for this damn week. I love you.
I told you to shoot the shit about some words, man. That's it.
Chemical formula C10H5CIN2, a riot control agent first used in 1919, created by Ben Carson and Roger Stoughton. Here's a brief chemistry class. Chemical formula C10CH5CIN2, better known as tear gas, or CS, reacts to the moisture in your body and on your skin, and has an adverse reaction causing vomiting, mouth tearing, nasal discharge, burning of the eyes, eyelids, nose, and throat, disorientation, dizziness, and restricted breathing. Tear gas ain't nothing to play with. It's just that, though. The noose around their neck has the same effect that CS has on their breathing. So deceiving how they have us believing that this is a non-hazardous form of riot control. CS can easily cause excessive vomiting, kind of like their vomit pouring from their mouth in the basement of a plantation house due to the smell of their brothers and sisters' feces and rotten flesh so thick they can taste it in their mouth, lives wasted, ashamed. They react to the sweat on our back and they react adversely, as if our very existence is such a huge controversy or apocalypse. They kiss your lips with poison, burning your face, all because of an involuntary trait called race. More facts. Tear gas, CS, has less effect on animals due to underdeveloped tear ducts and protection by fur. Is that why they have an extensive collection of minks? Is that why you never see it used on politicians, animals? Politicians are animals with underdeveloped tear ducts because they have never had to cry enough for the tear duct to be mature enough to tear up both black and brown, drown in a sea of tears. Our tears form the seas you brought us over. Tear gas. Anyone aiding a victim that suffers from tear gas exposure will also suffer similar severe irritation. Is that why this was not on my news feed? Is that why the border was not the topic of conversation? Because it's cool to plant flowers in dirt until you realize you're getting dirty. Yeah, you heard me. I get it. It's trendy. Everybody only wants to talk about politics when it's time for an election, spraying us with tear gas while they wear masks, trying to conquer the fact that we are the champions in a worldwide death match called natural selection. Just because you posted a picture of a sticker that says I voted does not make you as devoted as the men, women, and children tear gas at the border. Wake up. Quit being fake, bruh. Understand their plans and that the pigment in our skin, both black and brown, make them hate us. Unite. Tear gas. CS, said to be used to incapacitate and subdue attackers or persons who are violently aggressive. Yeah, that's right. Ain't nothing scarier than a brown baby in broad daylight, cup in hand, newly clenched between baby teeth, holding mama tight while she yells for her rights. Yeah, let's incapacitate and subdue her and that gorgeous little brown baby of hers. More facts. Tear gas is prohibited in war under the terms of the Chemical Weapons Convention, but it's conventional to use on immigrants seeking our president's attention. Something is terribly wrong here. And finally, how do you relieve yourself from tear gas CS exposure? 1. Move to fresh air. 2. Flail your arms and rub your hair in a breeze. 3. Eyes must be wide open. 4. Irrigate the eyes with clean, cool water. 5. Remove clothing. 6. Shower. I hope you wrote that down because if you're black or brown, these instructions, my friend, you're going to need them. But for those who didn't allow me to repeat them, 1. Move to fresh air. 2. Flail your arms and rub your hair in a breeze. 3. Eyes must be wide open. 4. Irrigate the eyes with clean, cool water. 5. Remove clothes. 6. Shower. Doesn't that sound just like freedom? They have been trying to make us cry since they stumbled upon foreign land with gun in hand. So outside of the scientific reason for how they came up with the nickname tear gas, there's no mystery. But if you really want to know how to make a black or brown person cry, it's simple. Just show them their history. Chemical formula C10CHCIN2, better known as tear gas or CS, equals America. Land built by slaves, home of the fake shit.
Oh, girl, I had to wait to breathe. I swear, my whole chest is so tight the whole time.
Yeah, imagine saying it.
Can't imagine any of it. I'm not entitled to that. I feel like you have a power that you are just getting started with, and that's a fact.
That is amazing.
Yeah, I gotta like breathe, come down
yeah,
from it. Like being in person is totally different. You know, like right here, I've heard you on a stage, and we're just listening to you, and I'm like, it's so good. I'm not gonna read anything tonight, so that's cool.
I just like, and then the crazy part is I do it, and then after I do it, I just really don't even remember this. I promise it's weird, but I don't even remember what happened in the few minutes prior. Like,
yeah,
but
it's
I
like
mean,
a
I remember,
blackout
of course,
kind of
I
thing.
know I said it, but it's like a little weirdo thing going on there. But it's pretty cool though.
It's a high.
Yeah, it's one
you're up there, and then you're like, oh my god, woo!
That just happened. Okay.
It's really awesome. You can channel that though. You can just like once you get started. I did the same thing when I draw sometimes. Like once I get started, it just can't stop, and you just keep going. And it's very important. I like to tell for the listeners that try to find something that sparks that in you. And it's very impressive that because I thought whenever I listened to these poems that maybe you've been doing this professionally for many years. That's what I thought.
She's like,
that's what I thought. And then just now, like this is like a new thing since we started recording. That you just you stop for a while and just getting back into it and starting to take it a lot more serious. And I think you should definitely keep rolling with it.
Thank you so much. That was amazing.
Absolutely. And plus to those listening, use that as definitely a good lesson to think about, like don't give up just because you have to take a break for a while or even, maybe a little bit of a hiatus, just while you're out and about, just go learn what you need to learn and then make sure you're learning enough so when you come back to it, you can bring something back to it.
Facts.
And you're way stronger in there.
Big facts.
Mm-hmm.
I like how blown away you are, Devlin, because he's not like we're all around a lot of different artists. His is definitely more like, physical art, creating something. Yeah. So the way we create can be differently, but the cool thing about writing is it's relatable to everybody. And so when you've got someone who doesn't necessarily do all of that as their art, really feel it and absorb it. And like, absolutely. I could feel it when I came in, that's really cool. I'm kind of, I'm fangirling a little bit over both y'all. It's just the thing. That's what I do.
Oh, y'all. Look, man, I'm just
no, it's great.
Y'all gassing me up right now. Y'all have no idea. I appreciate the opportunity, though. I appreciate all of this because I promise, like, this is really, this is it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I have really nothing else to say other than this is it. I've thought about the concept before the concept was even a concept, and now it's literally just manifesting. I have nothing to do with it. And for you guys to be strategically placed in my life in the moment that you were was awesome because it's giving me, every time I touch it, I get, every time something happens, I get more of a reason to keep going. And it's just getting on the grander and a grander scale. It's not, I don't see it going in the opposite direction.
Any other
I thank
way,
God for that. And I thank y'all for being in this light. Like,
But we don't
Absolutely.
exist without you. Like, we're doing this for everybody. I think I'm not existing in this. We were talking earlier about like paying it forward, and a lot of people, I try to really express how I'm only doing all of this because I've gotten the chance. You know, the proletariat gives me a venue. Devlin made this podcast. We've bullshitted about podcasting before, but he made, you know, this is all the fruit of his labor, and he was just kind enough to, you know, extend it after we talked about it more. And the only thing I can continue to do is make sure that like I use whatever I have in anything to give that to someone else to build too, because that's, I think, what everybody's trying to do. And this is all like our passionate after hour shit, you know, like I'm tired. We've all worked today.
Yeah,
He's going to work, you know, there's a lot of stuff to be said for how, even if it's just this time that we can take out to really put towards ourselves, it's imperative. And it's obvious that you are now taking the time to do that. And I bet it feels good.
Yeah, it's good to, you know, people think it's a problem sometimes to be selfish. And I sometimes thought that was a problem as well, but you have to.
Yeah.
You have to. By any means, you have to. Whether it's one thing or two things, whatever it is, you have to do it or you will not be able to exist. Like, you will not be able to prosper or flourish in anything, because everything else is going to begin to bore you, because that's not what you want to do. You're doing this out of necessity. You know what I mean? Like, so when you take the time out for yourself and you do that, you become Poetry Live. Like, you become, you know, you mama during the day, you know, resident coordinator in the morning till the afternoon, and then now I'm gonna be me tonight. You know,
I think being a mom, you find you feel selfish about everything, and it's hard to say where that's okay. Eventually, you know, in your relationship with your partner, getting time for yourself, but especially showing your kids, though, it's also important to pursue those passions. Like, they need to. My kids now know, and I spent a lot of time not doing anything, you know, during their vital years, and it's all vital. But now at 7 and 9, they're like, "Oh, you got poetry night this week, Mom?" And I'm like, "I sure do. Thank you."
Funny story. My baby, like, she's my baby. She's 8, but she's my baby. She's
always.
No.
She was like, "Mama, you famous," and I have a poem called. I was like, "Oh, girl." When I got a poem called I be black, and she walk around the house, I be black. She did say, I was like, "Girl, you gassing me up."
That's great.
Yeah, so
your biggest fans.
They all love it. They all love it.
Do you have that particular poem with you tonight or memorized?
Oh. I don't know. I think I might save that. You got.
You might save it. Okay.
I mean, if you want to go, I'm nice. I'm generous.
Well, I mean, I actually won't be releasing this probably for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, I just heard this loud.
Here we go. Do it out here. All right. So first of all, the definition of excellence is the quality of being outstanding or extremely good, right?
Okay.
And then there's the term black excellence, and the definition for that is someone that is black and portrays great qualities and abilities that make the black community proud. Inspiration behind this poem. Why? Why does black have to be put in front of excellence? When you change that like that, it makes a completely different definition. I'm extremely glad that I can make my black community proud, but that's not the only people here on earth. I want to inspire everybody. I don't want to put myself in that box of black excellence. Why can't I just be, excellent? Like, so you're going to call Serena Williams black excellence, but she's literally the leading tennis player in the world. You're putting her in a box because there's more than just her black community that's proud or inspired by her. But anyway, black excellence. I be black. I be excellent. I be a god. I be heaven sent. So taste this melanin. Creme de la creme. They be mad because it ain't in them. My hips be life. My lips be honey. My ovaries be priceless, worth more than your money. My babies be commodities. That's why y'all took them from me. My life is a legacy. My time is coming. Would y'all be mad if I just said, I'll just do that? You can hear it if you go to my Facebook page. Would y'all be mad if I do
Not
that?
good.
I'm fucking around. I'm going to do it. Okay,
I was like, we were talking about another poem too. Like, we got poems. Go ahead.
Black excellence. Another box. sort of like the box that you're pretty for a black girl fits in, or the box 6 feet under after they dig in the dirt and rejuvenate the earth with your nutrients. Dr. King was excellent, now dead. Obama was excellent, now shunned. Trump is a bitch but called excellent, privileged. So how does white privilege compete with black excellence? It doesn't. Black excellence is my cousin who thinks she's better or excellent. Lacks a little melanin, skin tone white, brighter than mine. In school, she was brighter in mind, defined by their compliments. It's astonishing how the term black excellence will turn some into an Uncle Tom. Black excellence was killed by a car bomb or has a fucked up train of thought because he fought in Vietnam, but it's okay though, because his Black Excellence awarded him a Purple Heart. Black excellence be families torn apart by a less pigmented secretary who knew he was married but still wanted that black bone buried deep inside of her hollow womb. And he was a buffoon, consumed by the term black excellence. The term black excellence means someone that is black that portrays great qualities and abilities that make the black community proud. Black excellence is James Brown, say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. But the media turned him into a monster. Black excellence be Sandra Bland, alive and well before the police killed her for comfort because she was too black, too excellent. Black excellence, a box. Better yet, a bag of Skittles. A young black excellent boy killed by a man trying to overcompensate for the fact that his ego was too little. Black excellence is death because if you surpass your suppressors, you die. Black excellence, a tactic. Peddling the rich man's drug to our talented brethren, sniffing death off the titties of Becky's and caught with a rape charge in the sea, crying, saying, I can't see my dad in jail because my mommy won't let me. Black excellence, a habit. Addicted to false acceptance from their master, the same master that made them a bastard because their daddy wasn't picking fast enough, so they whipped him to death. Cracked whip against flesh, noose nestled into his neck, but he gave you a pair of shoes to reward your black excellence. Jordan 11s to be exact. The signature of the hustler selling crack to your mother. Black excellence be my brother who survived past 25 because if you survive past 25, you an OG. Ain't nothing excellent about black concrete covered in my ancestors' blood. Black excellence is mud, wet, dirt, molded, and when dried as hard as a statue, a memorial, a white supremacist memorial saying they had you and killed you, but your community will call you black excellence. They won't identify with the fact that you still died at their hands, still had to follow their commands. Black excellence is a distraction. Because as soon as your black excellence gains traction, you die. Black excellence, a lie. We are still bleeding. We are still repeating. We shall overcome. But the only thing that's coming is the rappers as they ejaculate their seeds on the faces of our black queens because you show our black daughters through television that their black excellence reside inside their genes. Distressed teens, black excellence, a box. A fucking box, and that's a fact. My degrees and pocketbook determines black excellence, but fuck all that, bitch. I'm just excellent because I'm black. Black excellence be my daddy who overcame a drug and alcohol addiction, and even after my mom's left, he still raised his 3 children. Black excellence be my grandmother who lived a life of legacy with the golden heart. Fuck the title black excellence. She earned the title matriarch. Black excellence be my sister, pregnant at 15, now raising 3 on her own. Still providing food and shelter, making her house as a home. Fuck black excellence, as a matter of fact. I'm not black excellence, bitch. I'm just excellent because I'm black.
It's the same thing every time. The same thing every time. Like,
I need some water.
I do.
Man.
Yeah, I wonder how the snapping's gonna come up because the whole time I just the whole time. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
When I snap?
Yeah. Keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's like asthma.
Well, I know I can hear me and I can hear y'all. I can hear my hands.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, when she did it live, was it last week, right?
Yeah.
For the Black Excellence open mic. That
wow.
Nobody expected it. You know, in regards to content, you know, it was obviously not completely for the term and just kind of created a lot more thought, I think, than people were expecting. Yeah, and it was good. I mean, that's the whole point of poetry.
Yeah.
It makes it up a bit.
And it's like
it was intentional.
Like the first thing, like did I tell you this last Wednesday? I was like, well, I was asked, what happens when that happens, when I write something like that.
That's kind of opposing?
Yeah, that was happening.
To what people might expect you to think?
Yeah. It's like the first thing that pops into your mind. It's like instinct. Everybody's going to automatically think whatever they instinctively think. And then filters start to come in before it actually comes out. And it's kind of like, excuse me, I just catch it before those filters start hitting. Because after I read it or after I performed it, I realized, ooh, this could be kind of controversial. But it doesn't matter because that's what we all instinctually think on the slick. But you don't bring it out because you start to allow filters of whether it be your religion, your tradition, your family, your the way you grew up, anything to kind of, what's the word I want to use? Filter, basically, whatever it is that you're saying. Start thinking about everybody else instead of that instinct.
Right. And
it changes stuff. So anyway, that's how that was captured.
And I was going to say, is that your process every time you write something, like in general, every time you write, do you try to write just as soon as it comes to you? It's not something that can sit for a while, or you feel I just got through telling taking him another place. Yeah,
I just got through telling him that I was preparing for this, and then all of a sudden I started writing something else, and he was like, "Sharika, you need to focus on what you're gonna be doing at night." And I'm like, "But the only way I can explain is it don't work like that. Like,
you'll forget it."
Yeah, and it will not. And even if I do remember bits and pieces, it's not gonna come out.
And you missed that.
Yeah, I missed it. Yeah. You gotta catch it like anything else. Don't just. Once it's there, it's okay because you can rehearse and practice, but it'll never come out as natural as it does that first time because it was natural. Now you're doing it because it's supposed to be done. You know what I mean? But
absolutely.
But once it's written down, it's there though. You're straight as long as you get it when it's there. Because I write a lot, and some of the stuff I write you'll probably never hear because I don't feel like it's something that I would prefer everybody listen to. You know what I mean?
You got to write about that shit too, even when you don't plan on, even when you don't. If you're not writing about that stuff you really don't want to say to people, I don't think you perform the rest of the poetry that you utilize the best. Like you've got to channel all of it somewhere a little bit, and the therapy behind writing, some of it needs to be kept to yourself for sure.
And then sometimes even the stuff that you initially instinctively write that you're not going to expose happens to reveal itself in something else you write. Like you go back, you wind up just one day either glimpsing through a journal or writing something new and think of something that you wrote in the past that wasn't supposed to be heard, and it comes together and makes like a masterpiece.
Has it happened for you recently in a piece?
Yes, the one I'm going to do tonight, the my introductory poem, which is basically me just introducing myself as Poetry Lived, and who was it? I don't know if it was her or my mom, but we were talking about this night, like 2 nights after you had, introduced me to the idea. And I was like, oh, I'm going to write this poem, and it's going to say this, it's going to say that,
Oh, is that the Poetry Live poem that we're talking about? He said it. It's like, oh, her name is the poem. Okay. Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to write this and this, whatever. And then the time actually got there. Got here, and I was like, and I used pieces of that, not the entire thing, but I used pieces of, like, prominent pieces of that in the actual piece that I'm going to be using. I'm going to be doing tonight. And so it's really like when they say you're a writer, it's like saying you're a human. Are you like, seriously, because
I feel that.
You feel me? Like, because it's like everything that you do is that.
I tell people constantly that you're a writer and you don't know it. People be like, I don't write. I don't go to poetry. I don't listen to poetry. I don't even read. And I'm like, man, you do all of that. And you just don't even know you do that. And, but that being said, it's really something when you know it and you recognize it. I didn't write from middle school until like after my only divorce, not my first divorce, my only divorce. And I can see now there were lots of reasons for it, but it was okay. Like, I'm sure with you, like, you got to accept it. Sometimes I'm upset. I'm like, man, imagine all the shit I could have been writing during all that chaos. But I didn't need to. It's still there, and it's going to happen.
The chaos was the reason. Like, there's a part in my poem where I say dry bones can be divine and magical inspiration. Like, you have, like, for me, that's what poetry lived, y'all. Like, this is my life lived through poetry. Everything that I write about is something I experience, something I go through, something I feel, something that makes me feel a type of way. Like, even though Black Excellence and the other poem that you guys heard tonight, Chemical Formula, didn't directly physically manifest itself in my life, you feel me, doesn't mean it made me feel some type of way. So because it made me feel that way, I acted on it and wrote about it. So even though I'm not necessarily living through that moment, I lived
Right.
through when it happened, and it still inspired something inside of me to write about it. Everything, like waking up in the morning, that's what, it's kind of like I'm telling y'all a poem, but in a different format. The
That's
first
okay.
one, yeah, like everything, waking up in the morning, going to sleep at night, hints of the poem where I reflect on something that I experienced in the past. Like I used to be afraid, like nobody knows this. This is an exclusive.
Oh.
I used to be like terribly afraid of the dark, like terribly. Well, my husband knows that, but nobody. Like I mean, like wigging out. Like do not leave me in a dark room.
Like
it's giving me like
crippling.
ugh, talking about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And this was the only person, my book, my pen, my pencil was the only people I could tell, other than people who was experiencing me wig out that couldn't understand. Just like you're not going to understand it if I say it to you. So my only language really, where I really feel like I'm understood and heard, is when I'm writing poetry.
That's why I think a lot of poetry is like your deep, dark shit. And
it's
that's
all your
okay.
insides just put in stanzas and rhythms, and you know, like that's all it is. And when I try to do something, if I try, it never comes out right. Some of the stuff y'all not gonna hear.
It's just gotta happen.
Like, yeah. So they're like, okay, I'm gonna write this about the freaking yellow daisies today. Nah, them daisies gonna be like,
there's no hummingbirds for you or anything.
Yeah. Well, there's a part of the show I like to do, just kind of for an inspiration for everyone, just for the people that are out there that maybe are starting to be poets, or maybe they want to get into some type of creative writing of any kind, or maybe just any kind of creative practice. What could you tell them to stay inspired and stay on their path?
Don't stop. I mean, and that's really don't need a long, drawn out explanation. Don't stop. Don't get discouraged. Make your discouragement a poem. You know, make your anger a poem. Make your frustration a poem. Your tears a poem. Just don't stop. If you can't, whatever, write it down. You can always write it down. You got a pencil, you got a paper, you got a crayon, you got a mark. I have poetry written in colored pencils because it was the closest thing to me. Just write it down. And eventually, even if it takes 2, 5, 10, 12 years, that is going to manifest itself. Just keep putting, anything you put into is going to manifest itself, especially something that you're passionate about. So just don't stop. Don't stop.
Rome wasn't built in one day, but it was built.
It was built. Facts.
Awesome. Well,
I love that cliche shit.
Oh man, it's so
true.
It's so
parallel. It's so parallel. I know.
It's so real. I don't even like using it either, but it makes so much sense.
Oh, Devin, it rolled out so nicely.
I know. I'm well rehearsed.
Anyway, I love Emily, y'all. She's cute.
Oh,
She's cute. She has real pretty eyes. You feel me?
Halftime, you can't see him, from what I understand. So glad it's getting to where it is.
No, I have to.
It was a joke. It was a joke.
You gotta fix it too.
It was a joke.
I'm already like. Did we want to do another poem?
Huh?
Were we gonna do another one?
Yeah. We got time for one more.
I really the first poem I listened to on your Facebook page, I think, was Black Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Girl, and I think we were talking about this last time. And that's one of the ones we listened to when I came in. He was about to put it on.
The one with the echo. It sounds like you're in a
echo.
stadium.
It sounds like. And remember last week, it's just with how you recorded it. I don't care if it's Google, whatever on your. It was perfect. I feel like, was that the first time you recorded that?
Mm-hmm.
Just you did it one shot, recorded it.
Mm-hmm. I did a take 2, but I liked the first better, so I did that one.
I'm thinking about it, and my chest is doing that tight thing I do when I listen to you. And I listen to a stupid amount of poetry, and I get really excited about a lot of things, but I feel like there's a projection to the force that is poetry lived, I feel like, and the poetry that you're speaking, and when you talk about the metaphor of living it, I can feel you living it as you spit it out. Like, it's really intense. And the way you recorded Black Hurts and the content and just how it's put together, you can just feel it so much. I love that poem, and whatever you use, that echo, I was like, oh my gosh, this is all in my body.
I was sitting, I had been writing the poem throughout that day at work when I had downtime. And then I clocked out, and as a matter of fact, it was the day he was supposed to come pick me up for work because our truck wasn't working, so he had to use my vehicle or our vehicle, and he dropped me to work.
And there's just all sorts of stuff going on. He
didn't come on time, so
you gotta use that.
I ended up waiting at work. I had he told me where he was, so I was like, you got about 30 minutes for you to get here. What you gonna do? So I was like, okay, I'll record it. So I clicked on voice memos, and once I was done writing it, I recorded it, and then it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm very hands-on.
He, by the way, is your manager.
Yeah,
How'd you say it?
My man,
yeah,
yes,
just over there.
But so that's how Black Hurts happened, and it was inspired by, of course, the young lady on Dr. Phil.
Can you do it? Do you have? I mean,
go ahead. No, say.
I didn't know if you were. I was asking if you could just read it, if you knew it or had it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely. Sorry,
but the young lady, Black girl, 16. Dr. Phil said she ain't Black people. She said a bunch of very obscene things that everybody looked at as, oh, she's horrible, like killer, pitchforks, that crap. But she really, from what I got from it, she really is only able to identify with the way that where we are, that America makes her identify with Black. Like, it makes, every time you see, and no one can dispute this. Every time you see or read anything about a Black person, it's death, it's pain, it's hurt, it's scandal, it's lie, it's all of that. So she's only, this is what she grew up on. This is what she's been seeing. So she's only identifying with that portion of Black. She doesn't know her roots and where she comes from. So how can you blame her for reacting the way that she's blamed her? And she's just miseducated. And I commented and I said on the status that she was a victim and not an oppressor. A lady commented back. She was like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. You weak because you're showing empathy, blah, blah, blah. And that inspired Black Hurts. So I'll do that for you guys.
All right.
And I'm sorry, I read everything. I do these all the time, so I know them, but I don't want to miss anything. I don't want to mess anything up, so I read everything.
I do too.
So Black Hurts. To the 16-year-old Black girl on Dr. Phil that stated Black people are ugly, I am sorry. I am sorry that you hate your skin that resembles dirt, but you are not aware that everything, and I mean everything, grows from exactly that. You are unaware that you have power in your cells built into your chromosomes. Like, honey, you literally glow. The melanin stitched into your skin soaks up sunlight and pushes it out of your pores. You are the reason they created highlighter. I understand your fear. You come from a mother who was a victim of self-hate that married a white man but later divorced. You are bold because you have the strength that she did not to speak out and say, I hate myself. Not because you do, but because you need help, but they call you crazy. To the woman that commented on my status when I said you are a victim, not an oppressor, and she stated that I was weak because I showed empathy, I have no sympathy for you. Attacking this child as if hate plus hate, you say she should be accountable for her actions because she helped you to identify with the way you feel inside, so you shun her. You say I'm justifying her actions by only speaking light into her life, but when your daughter chose the light baby doll instead of the black one, you made light of the situation. She is hurt. You say being a child isn't enough. She committed a crime against your conscience, so you want her killed? That makes you no better than the men that beat and murdered Emmett Till. He was just a child too. So what does that make you, woman or murderer of our children? The young girl stated that Kim Kardashian was a wonderful role model. Well, of course, you allow her to watch Devil Vision that slowly chokes self-esteem and is designed to take her off course. She only knows what she sees. She does not hate her color. I mean, racists say they hate black, but that is the only color that is legally binding on their money-making contracts. She doesn't hate black people. She hates that black hurts. And because no one has ever told her of her significance, she is lost and confused just like us all. She lives in a world that says white is right, merely an example of fight or flight. She saw the pale monster, did not know she was strong enough, and flew into another skin tone to camouflage herself from the enemy like a soldier. She carries a boulder and is being crushed by the weight because she does not know of her strength, and she is afraid that her color will determine her fate because all they taught her in school was that she was a slave. Can you blame her? Fuck no. Blame yourself, because when the opportunity presented itself to you, you did not tell her that, girl, baby girl, you are beautiful. You derive from the richest continent on earth, both in nutrients and gold. A land where men live alongside beasts in peace and love. From the guardians of people who value family and tradition while wearing handmade cloth and jewels, multi-talented. A land where the mothers could pull a blade of grass, mix it with shade and herb, and have your hair as soft as the cotton that colonizers would later have them pick. But because you live in America, well, they tell you to permit because it's more manageable. Bullshit, what they mean is looking at you is more manageable if we look like them. She is a victim. In 1940, psychologist Kenneth and Mommy Clark designed and conducted a series of experiments known as the doll test to study the psychological effects of segregation on African American children. Go look at it and feel the pain that this young lady experiences every time she passes her own reflection and seeing the rejection from a land that was never her home. She is not alone. A lot of people feel this but are afraid to speak up, and we are afraid to bring it up because we still have not mastered the ability to love ourselves either. Black hurts, both physically and mentally. I know you saw the scars my ancestors wore as apparel. Black hurts. Going into a retail store and none of the jeans fit because it's Caucasian apparel. Black hurts. Because on TVs, DVDs, posters, and commercials, they don't look like us. It's like we're caught in a parallel universe. The Twilight Zone. Black hurts. You hear me moan from the pain in my blood-stained past, my full lips, wide nose, and large ass that they consider a deformity. Black hurts. So don't blame her. Blame America. A place that conditioned her into believing she was less than due to her skin. A place that only shows red blood when black is present. A place that identifies orange jumpsuits with our black fathers and sons. A place that states because she is yellow, she is better than your black, but still not as good as us, turning us against our sisters. A place that has used everything, has acquired everything it owns, using the same tactic, colonization. To the 16-year-old black girl on Dr. Phil that said black people are ugly. I am you.
Ooh.
Can I get some more water?
Absolutely.
Let me just switch over
You
here.
have as much water as you want.
I was gonna say it too. I keep saying it. Shit. Whew, I feel like those headphones make things a little more tense.
I'm gonna say like, y'all, I'm sorry. I gave it all to them. You can have not just
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sorry that we just like sprang it on you to read so much because I know you're about to in a little bit.
Didn't I just tell you that life is poetry? It don't matter.
What is my
If I could be doing anything in this moment, at this moment right now, it would be exactly what I'm doing right now. So that is perfectly fine.
You feel like you're playing like catch up. You're reading so much poetry lately and really putting yourself into it and pushing yourself more than you have and more than you've wanted to, that now that your full force is backed by all of that, you know, like you were just kind of waiting to find the nook and cranny to get momentum.
For it to happen. I do feel like that, but I also know for a fact that this is only going to get better. This is still raw. This is still raw. This is still not.
This is new.
This is still not what God has in store for me.
Poetry,
This is still just the beginning, and
exciting.
Man, what a fucking beginning! You know what I
right?
mean? Like, I mean, as soon as I touched it, I was just on fire. Like, you know, usually it takes a while for stuff to burn you up. I would set ablaze, and I'm never letting it go.
You're just writing poetry right now? Is that what you're doing?
I told you it's life. You don't understand. I tried to tell you.
Push record. Oh wait, we're recording.
Right.
You're gonna listen to your own podcast, write a whole piece.
Ooh, girl. To the podcast. No, I'm just.
Oh, see that voice? The shift.
Oh yeah, please do like that. That's actually the glory of podcasts. Is it's the rebirth of the radio. And
it's beautiful.
Yeah, and it's really just the next platform to do whatever you want, just in a different way. You know, like now because we're doing a thing that used to cost people just tens and tens of thousands of dollars to set up and do, and like I bought this studio on Amazon. You know, so
get it.
You know, and it's really missed. So now instead of just having we went from especially like online things, you got like the AOL forums, and then it builds up a little bit, and you got MySpace forums and other things. Then you got social media. You got now. I think now that everybody can do this and anybody can get mics for their computer, people making their own podcasts is like it's not a new form. It's been going on for a while, but now it's catching on as a very very recognized form of vlogging. But it's different because it's it's kind of like we're taking a small step back because when
that's great.
Exactly, when video video's been on top since the jump, and I don't think it'll ever go anywhere. But I mean now a lot more people are, since I think it is because we're looking at screens more often with our phones every day. It's like now things that don't have screens are now attractive again.
Yeah, they're intriguing.
Because it's like, that's different. I can just listen to it and then do something else.
Yeah.
While I'm listening to it.
It doesn't take both of my senses at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's amazing. And then the whole, one thing about podcasts, one thing that they all have in common, they got this little vibe. They got this little, like your voice sound. I mean, I might sound this. I don't sound like this to myself. I might sound like this to other people, but this is not what I hear when I talk. But anyway,
Right.
so to hear this is like in podcast, my voice in podcast mode, and it's like a little. I'm so sorry, I cannot put this into words, but it's like, like
well, I
vibe that goes on. Everything changes. The mood, the sound changes. The atmosphere. It's like exactly. It's like a shift of like okay, better than when
we'll just call it podcast mode.
Straight up. Because if I had a camera,
mode.
Believe it or not, if I had a camera, like, well, those are okay because I'm doing this. But if I was just like, hey, let's work it, I would not be as comfortable.
It'd be different.
Yeah.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
It's totally different. But it's actually. I mean, I will say editing all these things. I was actually talking to Emily about this before you arrived. That editing these, you just hours and hours of listening to yourself. It's kind of weird, but I've come to really enjoy it because I remember things a lot better now. Especially it's not super improved, but I've noticed where it's been improving because when I go back and edit these, I hear myself say things that I would like to remember, or inspiring things. Because sometimes, you get caught up in an inspiring conversation, you just start going because your brain's like that, but you don't exactly remember what you said.
Exactly.
Yeah, all the time.
But you go back and edit these things, and you're like, whoa! But
I'm deep.
Yeah,
right.
Just going back and hearing the ideas that you sparked with other artists on the show, you're just like, wow, and like you remember it a lot more because it's like you're tapping into a memory without
thinking about it.
Yeah, so it just tells you what to do, and it's really cool.
And that's your art, and that's the way you just like broke that down to like its finest, like the bottom layer. That's your art, and it's amazing to watch another artist go into that. Being that it's cool, like me and Emily can have conversations about poetry all day, and it'd be like, "Yay, poetry, whatever." But then to hear somebody put their art at the forefront and make it the topic and like break it down, like kind of like a doctor in the body when you're doing surgery. I can't go cut you open like that, but that's their version of art. That's what they're blessed with, and it's amazing watching. That's why we watch like The Good Doctor and stuff. Well, at least I do.
We got all up into it. Terminology. Just opening up all of this. Doctoring it, Devlin. Dr. Devlin.
Dr. Devlin. That's my nickname for you, Dr. Devlin.
Dr. Devlin.
I like it.
Dr. Von Patrick, that's my middle name.
Oh, that's good.
Devlin Von Patrick.
That is a beautiful ass middle name. That's like some Transylvania.
Yeah, it's like regal.
What's the word I'm looking for? Like, aristocratic type shit. Like you have a family crest. Like
regal is like royalty.
Apparently in Ireland, the Mahaney family does have a crest,
because that's your last name.
But I know so my
Patrick.
My family actually was sent to Australia as captives of of England. So like my family was actually because Australia was like just a big prison for a long time.
Yes. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Fun fucking fact.
Yeah.
There, you can get poetry.
Matter of fact, if you have if you've been in trouble with like if you're a felon or something, you can't go over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't go to Australia now today if you wanted to.
Before it was a prison.
Because of that, you can't.
Yeah,
go
like
over
long time ago. But my family came from there, and then when they came to America, they were Mahaney, and then when they came to America, they changed it to AY.
Mahaney.
I don't know. They wanted to disassociate with all the bad history.
Your name's a tongue twister.
I hate to do this, guys. I hate to do this, but this is one of those instinctual moments.
What's up?
You telling me about this is nothing. This is nothing to do with you personally. I love you as a person. You're awesome, Dr. Devlin. But I'm hearing you say like, my family originated from here, and we did this, and we migrated here, and then they moved to EY and added the. I'm hearing everything you're saying, and I'm thinking to myself, well, all I know is Dejan. My history stops here. I can't go back to my roots and say I came from anywhere. And I had to address it because I felt it, and I feel like that's the problem. That's one of the main problems today. We don't know that. Because there's a certain feeling, like, for example, I was at work and my boss is, he speaks Spanish fluently. He's Spanish. He's a Spanish individual. I don't know exactly. I don't know if he's El Salvadorian or Mexican. He's one of the two. But anyway, he speaks Spanish. And he was speaking to another person that worked there, and they were both having a fluent conversation. His whole demeanor changes when he's speaking his native tongue. And I told him, when he finished, I'm catching chills thinking about it. He couldn't understand where I was coming from, but I was like, do you know the power that you have in being able to do that? The power that gives you, it changes your physical. Mm-hmm. Like, not only your verbal, it changes your entire physical. That's a part of the yearning. It's a part of the black hurts. It's a part of all that. We will never be able to fulfill that yearning, no matter if we go back and learn our native tongue, because it's still not our native tongue, because technically our native tongue is English. That's what we grew up knowing. You know what I mean? And I know that's off the tangent, and I know they just kind of came out of nowhere, but that's my
beautiful.
Mind. I absolutely think that's something that needs to be heard. Something needs to be voiced.
That's part of the poetry. That's part of it. Like what just happened. If I weren't doing a podcast, I would have written that down, because that was my first. While I'm listening to your conversation, that was my first instinctual thought. That's what I thought about. And it not taking away from your conversation. It was very informative and very.
This is your conversation.
Yeah,
that's how it's supposed to be. And I think you were perfect, like with everything you were saying, with your image you're portraying, with how you write and what you do. We were talking earlier how this is the perfect kind of content, especially for Black History Month. And I know I've been watching everything that you've been sharing, and just really, I've stayed informed, by the way, the past couple of weeks with you. It just you have. I don't know, you're very compelling in a lot of different ways, and I think there's something to be said for how you just say what you're going to say, and I think that kind of infiltration is really necessary, especially in the poetry scene, like you mentioned earlier with the Black excellence thing and so on and so forth, that you were hesitant, or you weren't, you knew that people might have an opposing view regardless of what you might be expected to say or come up and perform. But you just do it, and I think all of that really is just folding into everything else, and everybody's kind of watching you come into you,
and that's a beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's like you were like, I guess I'm saying that right now because I needed to say that right now, while you were saying what you needed to say right now. That we didn't know where any of it would fold into, especially when you come onto a podcast, and
didn't know any. Yeah, didn't know. It's beautiful, and then the people that are around, like the people that are here. People that's witnessing it with me go, this is something, no matter where this goes, no matter what happens, I'm keep writing, but no matter what happens, we all experience this together, so we could be like, oh, you remember when, I was like, we do it when we leave from poetry night, you know what I mean? I go over, so I was like, babe, I really said this, and he's like, yes, you did, you know what I mean? Like, it's a all around. I don't have to just talk about it and say this is happening. Like, everybody sees that this is happening, and it's a good feeling.
No one's giving you any negative feedback.
No, not necessarily in that term. Okay, back up.
Oh, you know what? And let me say that I didn't mean to. I feel like now that I just heard myself in my head, that probably sounded more as like that statement was done. It was more like a question.
Yeah, well, no, it has nothing to do with that.
It was more like, do you feel like you've gotten negative feedback? Or when you go away and you're thinking about that after you perform something in particular, that like, are you concerned about that and then you're alleviated because...
More so back, way back deeper. It's like being a child and being, nobody knows me like, Poetry is awesome. I'm awesome. Everything's great, but nobody really knows me like that. And I'll get deeper off into that as my career, progresses. But at one point in my life as a child, I felt very invisible, And I'm actually going to write a poem called "Cellophane" pertaining to that situation. But I felt that way, and then because I felt that way for so long, when I started to be seen, it made me feel uncomfortable as well because I wasn't used to being seen. And I've fallen into a place where you're being seen, you're no longer invisible, and you're comfortable. So it's like, what else is there? Like, it's everything. It's part of everything I've wanted. I've always wanted.
It's just becoming kind of fluid.
It's coming fluid, and it's like, I don't know really how to say it. It's horrible that I can't.
Because it's new. It sounds like to you, you're in unknown territory, but you recognize it's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's necessary.
It's necessary, and it's not a level of seen as I want to be popular, or I want to have this many friends in schools, this many Snapchat filters. It was from prominent. I mean, not filters, friends. It was from
same thing. Sometimes,
basically.
I'm just saying. I do the hybrid thing.
So, it was being seen by prominent people, and believe it or not, outside of the people that come and see us on Wednesday nights and the people that's going to see us on tonight, those prominent people see me now, and that plays a major role in it. Those people are able to identify with something that's been inside of me for so long that I've never really used, and they wondered what it was, what was going on, and now they see and they understand and they can hear and they want to hear, and it's like, hey, I'm here all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Where
like,
you been?
I've been here.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I've
I
been
met
here.
them.
Yeah. But it's cool though.
They're all here now, girl.
Yeah,
People hear you,
it's fucking awesome.
right?
Oh, actually, speaking of people hearing you, we're actually approaching that time.
Oh, well,
Oh,
yeah.
shit. I gotta change
You
my
got somewhere
clothes.
else to go. I gotta
All right,
buy
well,
a shirt from you.
Well, just in closing, and anything to say anything coming up, and where can we find you online?
Plugs, girl.
You can for booking, you can call me at 337-377-9777. That's a real number. It's not spam. For like finding me, you can go to @PoetryLived on Facebook. Poetry_lived on Instagram. If you want to email me for booking as well, you can go to poetrylived2005.com. @gmail.com. Other than that, you can catch me at Coast to Soul or 1 or every freaking opportunity that comes for me to do poetry.
And all over our website.
All over
Coast to Soul.
I'm there.
Everywhere.
Well, sounds good. Well, I appreciate y'all coming in, doing this episode. It was fun.
Thank you. Always.
All right, yep. We're going to go to the Proletariat. It's at 23rd and Market Street, Galveston, Texas.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. First and third Tuesday.
Poetry
every month.
Poetry Live. Thank you very much for coming in, sharing some of your art with us. You're welcome. Anytime.
Thank
All right,
you.
Artisan Death Podcast. Like, subscribe, comment, give us some constructive criticism. Like I always say, please do. Let us know what you want to hear. And we'll catch you next time. Off with their heads. We're out. You've been listening to the Artisan Death Podcast, motivating creative minds through artistic exploration. If you like what you're hearing, please be sure to give us a rating or a positive review. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, you can email us at vonpatrickarts@gmail.com. That is VONPATRICK@gmail.com. Thank you very much, and we look forward to talking to you.